A few weeks ago, on a typical Thursday morning, I found myself amid the usual rush, getting our two kids ready for school. At 7:30, the routine was briefly interrupted by the loud ring of the phone. Curious, I wondered who could be calling so early. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar area code, which only intrigued me more. "Hello," I answered cautiously, bringing the phone to my ear. To my surprise, it was my wife, Claire, on the other end. I couldn't help but wonder why she was calling. We had just spoken the night before. Claire works for a small marketing firm, and the urgency in her voice grabbed my attention. "I was in the hotel lobby last night to grab a newspaper, and my purse was stolen," she explained, sounding tense. She asked me to cancel our credit cards and get new ones issued quickly. Her boss had already arranged for new company credit cards to be sent overnight, so she would have them in time for tomorrow. "I can't believe I was so absent-minded," she admitted. "I left it at the counter while getting more reading material, and when I came back, it was gone." She mentioned that hotel staff had looked around the area but hadn't found it. I reassured her that I'd take care of canceling the cards and was relieved to know that, aside from some cash, there shouldn't be any major losses. Life returned to its usual rhythm, but I couldn't shake a strange feeling. Weeks later, I came across a recent statement from Claire's personal Fidelity account. She manages an investment fund with an inheritance she received after her parents' tragic accident a few years back. While looking for a home insurance policy, I noticed a folder containing her account statements. Out of curiosity, I opened one and saw that her investments had grown to over $400,000. But what caught my eye was a $3,000 withdrawal from her money market account around the same time her purse was stolen. Unable to let it go, I looked further into her account activity. To my surprise, I discovered that she had written a substantial check to a local jewelry store a few days after she claimed her purse was taken. Curious, I called the store to inquire about the transaction. A store representative explained that Claire had come in distress, mentioning that her wedding and engagement rings had been stolen and that she wanted to replace them. She used her company card as collateral before sending a check to complete the purchase. This new information left me puzzled. She hadn't mentioned losing her rings. The more I thought about it, the more questions I had. Why was she carrying her rings in her purse, especially if she didn't plan on hiding her marital status? If there wasn't a professional reason for her to appear unmarried, what other explanation could there be? Slowly, disconcerting thoughts began to surface. I wondered if she was concealing the rings while socializing in ways that were incompatible with our marriage. Several weeks passed, and another business trip was approaching. I felt an overwhelming urge to investigate. That evening, she mentioned her upcoming trip to Denton, saying she'd leave the following morning. When she went to bed, I went to the garage and checked her briefcase, which she typically brought home before morning flights. Inside, I found a small package of contraceptives, with a few pieces missing, confirming my worst fears. Heartbroken, I knew I couldn't ignore the evidence and had to take the next steps to protect my family. The next morning, I contacted a private investigator and my divorce attorney. I wanted to secure custody of our children and ensure a fair split of assets. The investigator's report, detailing photos and an account of her activities with another man, confirmed the painful reality. That Monday, my attorney arranged for the divorce papers to be served at her workplace, leaving her no choice but to face the consequences of her actions. In the days that followed, Claire called me repeatedly, pleading for another chance. She explained that she had been seeing a therapist, citing a diagnosis of nymphomania. She tried to assure me that her impulses were under control, but the damage was done. Though it was painful, I could no longer trust her. My priority now was the well-being of our children and moving forward with dignity. Months later, Claire's infidelity and our divorce were behind me. I began dating again and met someone with a shared history of betrayal, but resilience. With her, I felt a sense of hope that I hadn't felt in a long time. As I moved forward with the divorce, focusing on our children's well-being and adjusting to life on my own, the pain gradually started to subside. My priorities shifted entirely toward creating a stable, loving environment for Jeremy and Melissa. Claire and I arranged visitation schedules, though I remained the primary caregiver. Over time, the children adjusted to the changes, and their resilience reminded me of the importance of being strong for them. I had learned through friends that Claire's life had taken unexpected turns. Rumors circulated about her continued nightlife and brief relationships, which made me grateful for the decision I had made to secure a healthier environment for our kids. I was no longer focused on her choices, but rather on building a future filled with integrity and trust for my family. A year later, I met a woman with a similar past. She had also experienced betrayal and loss, but had emerged stronger. Our shared understanding created a connection that was deep and authentic. She understood the pain of broken trust and the joy of finding hope again. With her, I began to envision a new beginning, one where trust, respect, and mutual support formed the foundation. For the first time, I felt that I could look forward to the future without the shadows of the past. My children adored her, and her presence brought warmth and stability into our lives. Though I could never erase the memories of betrayal, I realized that life offered second chances, and that moving on with grace and gratitude was the best path forward for all of us. As my relationship with this new woman blossomed, I found myself rediscovering parts of life I hadn't appreciated in years. We shared small moments of joy, family dinners with the kids, weekend outings, and quiet evenings talking about our hopes for the future. She brought a warmth and calmness to my life that helped me heal in ways I hadn't anticipated. My children began to open up to her as well. Jeremy, with his usual shyness, soon found a friend in her, and Melissa, my curious little girl, was constantly asking questions, wanting to hear stories from her life. They were happier, more at ease, and seeing them thrive made me feel confident in the choices I had made. I could see that this was the beginning of a new chapter, one that felt healthier and more loving than what had come before. One evening, after the kids were asleep, I shared with her the full story of my past with Claire. I had been reluctant at first, but she listened patiently, understanding the pain and complexity of the experience. She didn't judge or try to fix it. She simply reassured me that we would create something different, something that honored honesty and commitment. For the first time, I felt fully seen, and in that moment, I realized just how deeply I cared for her. As time went on, Claire and I settled into a respectful co-parenting relationship. Though the wounds of betrayal would never fully heal, I understood that forgiveness was more for my own peace than anything else. We both wanted what was best for Jeremy and Melissa, and that shared goal allowed us to navigate the delicate balance of raising our children together while leading separate lives. Looking back, I felt a sense of gratitude, not for the pain, but for the growth it had forced me to undergo. I had come to understand my own worth, my own resilience, and my capacity to rebuild. With my new partner by my side and a future that felt hopeful and full of possibility, I was ready to move forward, knowing that my children and I had found a new, stronger foundation on which to build our lives. With each passing day, life took on a renewed sense of purpose. The children continued to adapt beautifully, their laughter filling the home with a warmth I hadn't realized was missing. My relationship with my new partner deepened, and I began to see that we weren't just moving forward but building something strong and lasting. One weekend, we took the kids on a small trip to a nearby lake. It was simple, picnics, hiking, and a little boating, but the joy on Jeremy and Melissa's faces reminded me of everything that truly mattered. Watching my partner interact with them so naturally, I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't felt in years. We were becoming a family, not defined by blood but by choice, love, and shared experiences. In quiet moments, I sometimes reflected on how far I'd come. The betrayal and pain once felt overwhelming, but now it felt distant, like a chapter in a book I had read long ago. I had learned to let go, not in forgetting, but in choosing not to let those memories shape my present. Claire, too, seemed to have found her own version of peace. Though our paths were now separate, we continued to navigate co-parenting respectfully, focusing on our children's happiness. Over time, our interactions softened, becoming a series of calm exchanges, each of us understanding our roles in Jeremy and Melissa's lives. I found a new respect for her dedication to the kids, and with it, I felt the last remnants of anger dissipate. As I stood on the lake shore that evening, Watching the sun set with my children and my new partner by my side, I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. The past had given way to something beautiful, something real. We had all found a way to move forward, and in that, I discovered a deep sense of peace and gratitude for the life we were now creating together. This was our new beginning, a life built on love, trust, and the quiet understanding that we had overcome so much to get here. And for the first time in a long time, I knew that everything was going to be okay. As the months went by, our lives settled into a beautiful rhythm, each of us finding joy in the small, everyday moments that made up our days. My new partner and I grew closer, supporting each other through the challenges and celebrating the little victories that came our way. For the kids, this sense of normalcy was just what they needed. Jeremy and Melissa were thriving, their laughter echoing through the house and filling it with a happiness I hadn't realized we'd been missing. One evening, after the kids were asleep, my partner and I sat together in the quiet of the living room. She looked at me with a warmth and openness that left no doubt about her sincerity. "You know, I never imagined I'd find someone who understood me so deeply," she said softly. "It's like we both had to go through everything to finally find each other." I took her hand, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had led us here. She was right. Everything we had been through had shaped us, had taught us how to love in a way that felt pure and genuine. That weekend, we decided to tell the kids about our plans to take our relationship to the next level. Sitting them down, we gently shared our intentions, emphasizing that our family was only growing stronger. Jeremy, with his thoughtful nature, listened intently, nodding in quiet understanding. Melissa, always curious and expressive, asked if this meant more family trips, more movie nights, and more shared memories. We smiled, reassuring her that it meant all of that and more. As we embraced them, I felt a profound sense of wholeness, a feeling that this was the family I was meant to have. It wasn't the path I'd imagined, but it was a path filled with love, resilience, and hope. The past, once filled with so much pain, had become a distant memory, a stepping stone that had led to a life more meaningful than I could have ever foreseen. In the quiet moments that followed, I realized that forgiveness, for Claire, for myself, and for everything that had happened, had been the key to this peace. The journey had taught me that life is unpredictable, often painful, but also incredibly beautiful when we open ourselves to new beginnings. With my partner beside me and my children thriving, I knew that our future was bright, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a deep, unshakable sense of happiness. This was our family, built on love, honesty, and shared dreams. We had found our way through the storm and had come out stronger on the other side. As I looked at my partner and my children, I knew we had everything we needed. This was home. As time went on, this new chapter continued to flourish, becoming richer and more fulfilling than I had ever anticipated. Our little family found joy in the simplicity of everyday life. Weekend hikes, board game nights, and spontaneous trips to the ice cream shop after dinner. Every shared moment seemed to strengthen the bond between us, turning ordinary days into treasured memories. One evening, while we were preparing dinner, my partner paused, looking at me thoughtfully. "I never imagined life could be this complete," she said, her voice soft with gratitude. I knew exactly what she meant. The pain and turmoil of the past had, in a strange way, paved the path to a life that felt more genuine and balanced than I'd ever known. With time, even my interactions with Claire grew more amicable. We'd settled into a comfortable co-parenting arrangement, with her understanding that our family now had a different structure, one that prioritized the kids' stability. The pain of her betrayal had faded into the background, replaced by a quiet acceptance of our roles in each other's lives. The kids were our shared commitment, and we both knew they were our highest priority. One day, Jeremy asked if we could all go to one of his soccer games together, even inviting Claire to sit with us. Though it was a bit awkward at first, we managed, setting aside past differences to support him. As I sat there with my partner beside me, and Claire a few seats away, I realized we had come full circle in the best way possible. We'd managed to create an environment of respect and understanding, something our children could thrive in. Later that evening, I reflected on how far we'd come as a family. My children had grown up surrounded by love, resilience, and the strength of forgiveness, all while being supported by a broader circle of people who cared deeply for them. In this way, they had not lost anything, but had instead gained a richer family, one that offered them stability and warmth. As I looked over at my partner, I felt a deep, unwavering gratitude for the life we had created together. She had brought light into a chapter one once thought was filled with darkness, and together, we had transformed it into something truly beautiful. For the first time, I felt a profound sense of peace, knowing that we had all found our place, our roles, and our happiness. With each passing day, I knew that this was the life I was meant to live, surrounded by love, grounded in trust, and filled with purpose. This journey, though unexpected, had led us all to a place of hope and fulfillment, proving that even in the face of heartbreak, life could rebuild itself into something beautiful. We had come through stronger, and for that I was endlessly grateful. This was the family, the life, and the future I had been waiting for. In the following months, our lives continued to weave together in ways that felt both natural and profound. Our home was filled with laughter and joy, a testament to the life we had rebuilt from the fragments of the past. With every shared meal, family outing, and evenings spent reading stories to Jeremy and Melissa, the bond between us only grew stronger. We decided to officially blend our families in a small, intimate ceremony. It wasn't extravagant, but it was meaningful, with only close friends and family in attendance. The kids were thrilled, playing their own special roles in the ceremony. Melissa as the flower girl, scattering petals with her infectious energy, and Jeremy, proud and serious, standing by my side. There was a warmth in the room, a sense of love and acceptance that reminded me just how far we'd come. In one of the most touching moments, my partner took each child's hand and made a promise to love, support, and cherish them as her own. Jeremy beamed, and Melissa threw her arms around her, their smiles lighting up the entire room. It was a memory I would cherish forever, the culmination of our journey to build a family rooted in trust, resilience, and unwavering love. As life settled into this new normal, even Claire softened. She began to see how happy the children were, how grounded they felt in this new life we had created. While there would always be a history between us, we developed a cordial relationship that prioritized the kids above all else. The past could not be undone, but we had found a way to live with it gracefully. One evening, as I tucked Jeremy and Melissa into bed, Jeremy looked up at me and said, "I'm really happy, Dad. I think everything worked out just right." It was a simple statement, but it meant the world to me. Seeing the contentment in his eyes, I realized that every challenge, every difficult decision had led us to this point of peace and fulfillment. In those quiet moments, I often reflected on the strength it had taken to reach this place. The pain of the past no longer held me back. It had become a lesson, a reminder of resilience. I had learned to trust again, to love fully, and to believe in the possibility of happiness after heartbreak. With my partner and my children by my side, I was finally living the life I had always hoped for, a life grounded in honesty, love, and the unwavering support of family. And as I closed the door to my children's room that night, listening to their soft, peaceful breathing, I knew in my heart that we had all found our way home. This was our future, a future I was endlessly grateful for, one filled with love, hope, and the quiet joy of a life well lived. In the years that followed, our lives continued to deepen in meaning and connection. Our blended family thrived, finding comfort in routines that were now familiar and joyful. We grew together, facing life's ups and downs with a resilience forged from the trials we had endured. Each day brought a new layer of closeness, and I was continually amazed at how naturally my partner had taken on the role of co-parent. She was as devoted to Jeremy and Melissa as I was, showing them patience, kindness, and an endless supply of love. She attended their school events, cheered from the sidelines at their sports games, and offered a listening ear whenever they needed it. Watching her with them filled me with a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in years. Claire, too, became a part of this new stability. Though our relationship had changed drastically, we found a mutual respect and appreciation for each other as co-parents. We coordinated seamlessly for school events, birthdays, and holidays, putting aside any lingering discomfort for the sake of our children's happiness. It wasn't always easy, but we made it work. The children saw a united front, and that was all that mattered. One evening, as my partner and I relaxed on the porch, enjoying a quiet moment together after a busy week, she took my hand. "You know," she said softly, "I always hoped I'd find something like this. Not perfect, but real." I looked at her, understanding exactly what she meant. Our journey hadn't been perfect, but it had brought us to a place of genuine connection and unwavering trust. We had both chosen to believe in the power of second chances, to rebuild a life founded on respect, love, and a shared commitment to our family. Our love story wasn't the conventional one, but that was what made it special. We had found our way to each other in the aftermath of heartbreak, and together, we had created something beautiful and enduring. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over our home, I realized just how fortunate I was. I had gained not only a partner, but a true friend, someone who would stand by me no matter what life threw our way. We had come through the storm, our lives intertwined in ways we never could have predicted, and with each passing day, our family felt more whole, more complete. This was the life I had dreamed of, a family united by love and respect, a home filled with laughter, and a future that felt endlessly bright. With my partner, my children, and the life we created together, I knew I had everything I needed. This was my forever, and I was grateful beyond words. As the years went by, our family's bond only grew stronger. Jeremy and Melissa blossomed into remarkable young adults, each bringing their unique talents and dreams to life. Watching them find their passions, supported by the unwavering love of our blended family, filled me with a pride I hadn't known possible. We celebrated countless milestones together: school graduations, family trips, and even quiet Sundays spent cooking breakfast and sharing stories around the kitchen table. Each moment reminded me of the incredible journey that had led us here, a journey of healing, forgiveness, and resilience. My partner and I found ways to continue nurturing our relationship amidst the happy chaos of family life. We carved out time for each other, whether it was a walk through the neighborhood or a spontaneous weekend getaway. Those small moments of connection kept us grounded, reminding us of the deep love that had brought us together. We knew that our love was the foundation upon which this family had been built, and we cherished it every day. One evening, after a long day of laughter and shared memories, I sat with my partner on the porch, reflecting on how far we had come. I wouldn't trade any part of this journey, I told her, my voice full of gratitude. We went through so much to find each other, to create this family. It's been worth every single step. She looked at me, her eyes filled with the same warmth and love that had sustained us through so much. "It has," she replied softly. "We built something real, something lasting. This is our legacy, a family grounded in love and resilience." As the sun set, casting a soft glow over our home, I felt a sense of peace that went beyond words. We had created a life filled with meaning and joy, a life that felt whole. Our family, our home, our love, it was everything I had ever hoped for and more. Looking toward the future, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, just as we always had. This was the life I was meant to live, a life filled with love, family, and the quiet contentment of knowing that we had found our way through the storms and into the light. With my partner, my children, and this beautiful family we had built, I knew I had found my forever. And for that, I was endlessly, deeply grateful. As our family continued to grow and change, I watched with amazement as Jeremy and Melissa stepped into their own futures. Each one carried with them the lessons and values we had worked so hard to nurture in our home: kindness, resilience, and a deep sense of integrity. It was humbling to see them become adults, taking the foundation we'd built together and forging their own paths in the world. With their growing independence came a bittersweet sense of pride. Our days of packed family schedules, school events, and late-night conversations were naturally winding down. Yet, my partner and I had built a life that wasn't solely defined by raising children. We had each other, and our love only deepened as we navigated this new chapter, rediscovering each other as partners and friends. We embraced the quiet, creating new traditions that reflected our life as a couple. We traveled to places we dreamed of seeing together, invested time in hobbies, and spent countless evenings with our closest friends. Our home remained a warm, open place where Jeremy, Melissa, and eventually their partners would often visit, filling it once more with laughter and stories. One evening, as we sat by the fire reminiscing about the journey we had shared, my partner turned to me with a gentle smile. "You know, everything we've been through has brought us to this moment," she said. "Our family, our love, this life. It's more than I ever dreamed of." I squeezed her hand, feeling the depth of her words. "It's more than I could have imagined, too," I replied. "We took what life handed us and made it into something extraordinary. And even as our family changes, the love we share only grows." We sat in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that only comes with years of companionship and shared memories. Outside, the world kept turning, but in that moment, it felt like we had everything we could ever need. And as I looked at her, I knew that we had built a legacy, a life of love, commitment, and unwavering trust. This was the story of our family, a story that would carry on through Jeremy and Melissa and hopefully in the lives of their own children one day. Our journey had come full circle, and I was grateful beyond measure for every part of it. In the end, we had found our forever, and it was even more beautiful than we had ever imagined.